right. Well, what is up, everybody? This is Keith Jameson. Go by Gator Guy 231 across the DFS industry. And we are on to week 2. It's like 2.5 of the college football season. Have a big slate on Saturday. This one was a struggle for me even prepping for this. I think there's like so often I feel like in college, curious if you guys feel the same way, but plays just kind of like stick out, especially like the quarterback. You're like, all right, good. Oh, there's the elite play. You know, there's the runner that's going to get like huge scrambling yards, going to throw it. You know, it's a 70-point total. Like, obviously, we're going to go there. And it doesn't stick out to me. I'm not sure if I'm blind to it, but, you know, it's a different slate. Maybe that should make it interesting, spread out some ownership. But I'm going to do this video a little different than I've done, kind of back to like when I started doing college football. I'm just going to kind of give you my couple top picks. I don't think I have like enough like convictions going like through every position to give you like 6-7 targets. There's a couple guys that stand out like that. I think that's a better way to say it at each tier. And we're going to go over there. But before we do that, I want to start off the show with my prize pick play. I'm full getting into PrizePicks. I love the concept of the site. I love the partnership that they're giving with us and with FSI. So I want to bring up my screen, give you what I feel like is a really awesome play to target tomorrow. Just a quick reminder. So if you're new to PrizePicks, prop gaming site, chance for you just with picking 2 players and getting it right to win 3-1 odds. Just pick 2 of a huge board. And that's one of the coolest parts about PrizePicks, I feel like, is sometimes you go to these prop sites and you're tied to just a few little, you know, a couple things. But they've got like a huge board. Like, look at just like under receiving yards, right? Look at this board. There's so many options. You know, I'm going to be big on Wan'Dale Robinson. I'll go to that in a minute. But just if you want to try it out, promo code FSI, they will give you 100% match up to $100. And if you wanted to, you want to take my pick, if you go over to the NFL board and you go to passing yards, Pat Mahomes over 0.5, they do some of these flash sales. You can see there's 25 hours. This is Friday at 11 p.m. You could get that one on here, toss that over, and bam, you go up to 5-1. So love PrizePicks, love some of these flash sales that they have. Yeah, but let's talk about my quick picks here, which is Wan'Dale Robinson over 79.5 receiving yards and JABARI Small over 71.5 rushing yards. On Wan'Dale Robinson, if you watched my videos last year, you know how much I love Wan'Dale Robinson. One of the most electric players in the entire nation. Was at Nebraska last year. Not only, you know, it's just electric when he gets the ball receiving, but can also get in the running game. Kentucky didn't have to use him last week. Like, we could see it this week. I would hope, and I would love for our prop, that it's a little shovel pass forward, right? So we can get the receiving yards. But I very much think that Wan'Dale Robinson is the center of what Kentucky wants to do outside of their run game. He had 122 yards receiving last game on 5 catches. He's super explosive in the open field. I think 79.5. I looked at 5 receptions. I think that's solid, but I thought 79.5 receiving yards was the way I want to go. And what could be a pretty high scoring game versus Missouri, who struggled versus Central Michigan last week. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that Wan'Dale could be in like the high 80s to low 90s. So I thought 79.5 was a really good deal. And JABARI Small, we're going to talk about him in the DFS picks too, but he has a chance to be the bell cow with an injury. I'm blanking on the other Tennessee running back's name. I'll see it in a minute. But JABARI Small could end up being the workhorse, and 71.5 rushing yards on a Tennessee team that's really going to like to run. They're a slight dog at home, but a 57 total. So there's going to be points in that game. JABARI Small at 71.5 yards, I think, is really soft. I could easily see that getting up to 89, in the high 80s, low 90s. Let me just get the name. It's going to bug me if I don't. If Evans is officially ruled out. And even with Evans in last week, we saw Small 22 carries for 117 yards. Yeah, I think it's a really good play. You could wait if you wanted to, and wait till you see the news that he's out. Just understand that PrizePicks is going to be watching that too, and they will bump it up. So I think at 71.5, even if we can see some limitations, it's a really good wager. All right, so remember, promo code FSI. Jump on board. Let's start a streak. Hit my NFL wager last night, so ready to rock. All right, let's get into the DFS. I know that is what you're here for. So let me quickly move over to that and let's start out. So again, I'm not going to go through a ton of picks here. One thing I just want to say for Florida, who's the biggest favorite on the slate, I think there's some severe risk in playing either Emory Jones or Richardson. Richardson looked amazing last week. Really does look like another Tim Tebow type, just huge guy, can throw the ball, but really, really dynamic running. But I really do think that Emory Jones is going to get a really solid look here from Mullen, unless something changes, and I didn't see it. I don't think that Mullen wants to be hosting Alabama with a freshman quarterback, or with, I think Richardson kept his freshman tag. It's just not the way you want a guy to get introduced to things. So I expect Emory Jones and Richardson to both play tomorrow, but Emory Jones to really get some confidence going early. But at 9,000, I think he's too much with Richardson's really just on his back. So I'm just going to be avoiding both. At the quarterback position, the guy I want to highlight is Spencer Sanders. Spencer Sanders is a very dynamic quarterback. You know, we've seen him have huge games, passing the ball back on the Till and Walls days, or is it Thailand? But Spencer Sanders also gives us dual threat ability and a lot of chance to run. Oklahoma State, oh my gosh, where's it on my board? 14-point favorite, 50 total. You know, so we're seriously looking at 4 or 5 touchdowns potentially for Oklahoma State here. He did clear all the protocols, should be back on the field. I think 7,500. Just given these prices and the lack of other options, in my opinion, at quarterback, I really like him. I also think if you want to go down here to Noah Vidal, it makes a lot of sense. Again, one of those dual threat guys, right? 8 carries for 58 yards last week, 27 passing attempts. We missed him the first week when that game got canceled, got moved over, was not great through the air, but he gives us that dual threat, sub 7,000 versus Syracuse, which again, not a great defense. Rutgers is a slight 2.5-point favorite. I think those are my 2 favorite options. I'm sure plenty of people will be up on CJ Stroud. I think that makes a lot of sense. I just prefer to spin down a little bit. All right, running back is loaded. I think this is a great position. Hall, obviously a great play, but I am all about Kevin Harris. He was the SEC's leading rusher last year, got involved in the passing game as well. All is being said that he has no limitations, that he is good to go. 7,500 is actually a deal on Kevin Harris, especially given the matchup, fairly soft matchup versus Eastern Carolina. I would expect South Carolina just to start pounding the rock like they want to again. And Kevin Harris, for me, is just lock and load. I'll go ahead and just move him over there to see him. I also think that KYREN Williams is close to a lock and load. Look, he actually struggled on the ground versus FSU, 18 for 42. I think you're going to see Tyree cut into his work a little bit, but what you love to see, and what we just is exactly what I want out of running back, is the ability to catch the ball. 6 catches, 83 yards. We got a touchdown through the air. Look, if you, especially in college, if you get some of these bell cow running backs, they're going to give you 15, 20 carries, and they're also going to give you 5 receptions. Like, they're just locking loads every week. It's just so dynamic, especially with Notre Dame being a solid favorite at home versus Toledo. Those two are just locking loads. Then I think, we're going to watch that Tennessee news. Oops, sorry, I moved. And as we talked about in the PrizePicks, I think that JABARI Small, if he is the lone running back for Tennessee, first Pitt, Tennessee's going to want to run the ball a lot this year. I think that, he has a legit chance at 25 carries and 5,800 coming off of 117 yards last game. I think just makes a ton of sense. Tennessee's supposed to have a really good running game this year. So I think that would be, pretty much a chalk play. Being a Gator, got to throw a Gator guy out there. I think Malik Davis is looking really good. He's a guy I talked about a few times last year. Looks like he's going to get a lot more of a dynamic role, and they should smoke USF. So I think from a GPP like YOLO play, I like Malik Davis a lot too. I think a lot of people might go to Pierce, but I think Malik Davis is by far the more dynamic player. All right, at wide receiver, my other, kind of like freebie play I'm going to give you, I think Garrett Wilson is one of the more egregious price mistakes on the slate. Garrett Wilson should rarely ever be below 7,000. So 5,900, I think, is kind of laughable. Just way too much talent. Should be a first round pick. Olive got the second touchdown last game. Wilson, I believe, scored the first touchdown. Those two are going to be back and forth all season. But, if you're going to ever get one of those two under 6,000, to me, it's just going to be click and go. So Garrett Wilson to me, it's pretty much, almost a must. I don't really see a way around him. I also like Bo Melton. Bo Melton, guy that, Rutgers is just going to lean on all season. It's going to be their number one. Went for 6 for 59 last game. Again, this game versus Syracuse is sneaky decent. And if you're going to play Vidrell, it makes a lot of sense to pair him up with his number one under 6K. I like that. I found myself needing value on the slate. So I just want to point out one value play. From, where is it? Let me make sure I get it. It is KRULL. I believe he's either 38, 37. There you go. Lucas KRULL, Florida transfer to Pitt. Pitt normally doesn't use their tight end very much, but they supposedly really like Lucas KRULL, talented guy, 3,700, 5 for 58 last week in a touchdown. Obviously that helps, but it does look like he's going to have a role in the passing game. And every time I typed him in and was doing research, everything was just talking about how much he's been tearing up camp, how much they love him, how much he's just a really, really good target for them. So sub 4,000, we're not asking for much. We hit on Williams last week out of Oklahoma. That was huge for FSI subscribers. Hopefully this week it's KRULL. So that's going to do it. I know it's not as long, but I hope that some good content and some good plays that maybe you were on, maybe you weren't. What I'd love for y'all to do is if there's somebody that you think that you're like, oh my gosh, why didn't Keith say that guy? Put it in the comments. I'd love to hear, some of the plays that you guys are on. I get them pinged to my phone, so I will answer as good as I can throughout the day. I do have my niece's birthday tomorrow morning. But I'm still gonna be looking, still gonna have my own lineups in. So yeah, just respond, who you think, who's some of your favorite values, who are some of your favorite pay ups. Do you think some of the picks that I gave you are great? If they're complete crap too, and I missed something, share it. I'd love to, continue to get these, this YouTube community, all of us, banding together to win some big money, because there's a lot of money to be made out there. So good luck tomorrow. Thank you all so much for watching. And if you are interested in premium subscription, make sure you click in the details. We cover every single slate on DraftKings, so including this Friday night slate, the showdowns, all that stuff. Really good value for the money. Also, my player pool of all my favorite plays, much more than what I share here. Are they good for cash? Are they good for GPP? Are they just optimal plays? I have them all ranked there. All right. Thank you all for watching. Once again, this is Keith, aka Gator Guy 231. See you.